This is Faisal Khan for Lights Out in association with Shamrock Boxing. And with me via Zoom, I'm delighted to be joined by the former heavyweight champion of the world and the man who holds the record for the fastest knockout in a heavyweight title fight, Mr. Lamon Brewster. Lamont, how you doing, my man?
Doing good, man. It's pronounced Layman.
Lamon Brewster.
Sounds good. It sounds like Lamont.
Layman, first of all, just obviously have to ask you, about your thoughts on the division that you competed in, the heavyweight division. The landscape of that division changed, massively on the 22nd of February after Tyson Fury's stunning victory over Deontay Wilder. All the belts are currently over in Britain right now. With how the heavyweight division is right now, what do you make of the landscape of the heavyweight division right now?
Man, I'd have to say that Tyson Fury, I really take my hat off to him, and I have a lot of respect for him now. Whereas earlier, I didn't really have a lot of respect for him because I didn't think that the people that he was fighting were anybody to brag about, so to speak, And so when he stepped up his competition and fighting Deontay Wilder and the incredible victory. Well, it was called a draw, the first fight, but they could have gave it to Tyson Fury. That really surprised me, number one. And then two, when he came back, when he fought Deontay Wilder, and he went after him, and the way he did it, to be that big, like, it was just an incredible thing to witness. And then to see what's the other Anthony Joshua, to see Anthony Joshua lose and then come back in the way that he went about doing it, boxing, showing patience and using his reach and using his footwork, that was impressive as well, man. And then to just, see the way that boxing in the heavyweight division is shaping up today, man. It's like it's really something that has me on the edge of my seat, because it's not about what country is the best. It's about what fighter is the best. And you got a lot of fighters out there, man, in that top 5 that I really think can make some noise. But right now, and I personally think that Tyson Fury is the man to beat, man. And he's really impressed me. And I really didn't think he could do that, because I didn't think that a man at his age, with the number of years that he spent in the game, I didn't think he could change his style, but he did. And that's the sign of a great fighter, is a fighter that can make the adjustments necessary. Anthony Joshua did the same. He made the necessary adjustments, and it was just impressive. So overall, with all the fighters, I'd have to now at this point lean toward Tyson Fury, unless a rematch, a tree match, if you will, between Deontay Wilder could take place, and he can show us something different, because styles make fights, and with that jerky style that Tyson Fury has, man, it's going to be really, really, really hard to beat that. I don't care what fighter you are, how many gold medals you got, or who you beat, man. That jerky style is a style that my trainer, Bill Slayton, personally taught me, and I understand the magnitude of it. So it's going to be interesting, man. But right now, I just think that I think boxing is in terms of who's sitting at the top over all the champs, I truly have to say I believe it's Tyson Fury until he shows different.
The last few weeks, there's been a lot of talks about Deontay Wilder stepping aside to allow a potential fight for both heavyweight champions between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Judging by his last performance, what do you think is the best solution for Deontay Wilder right now? Do you think he should step aside and perhaps take a big chunk of money, or do you think now is the right time to take that third tree match, as you like to call it, with Tyson Fury?
Me personally, in his position, I think he should step aside, and I tell you why. Because psychologically, the loss that he sustained, the way it went down, that could hurt him mentally. It could hurt him physically, it can hurt him spiritually. And so I think that he should step aside, take take a two, maybe 1 or 2 fights, maybe 3 fights, whatever he feel. I would probably say 2 at the most. Get that confidence of yourself back in being in the ring, because there were some things that really hurt him going into that fight that psychologically I just think he got to deal with. And so rushing back into a world championship fight against another top contender, another top champion. I don't, me personally, not to say it can't be done, but I wouldn't do it if I had the chance. I would take that step aside, take a fight a step down fight against somebody, and then step back into the ring with the full confidence that I got my act together.
A lot of people have kind of labeled Deontay Wilder as a one-trick pony, that he relies on the right hand too much. He relies on that, destructive power of his. With what we've seen in the 2 fights with Tyson Fury, it's pretty obvious that Deontay Wilder has struggled with basic boxing skills and basic boxing technique. Do you think with Deontay Wilder, with the age that he's in and the last 2 performances with Tyson Fury, do you think he's capable of perhaps changing his approach if a 3rd fight with Tyson Fury is to happen?
That's a very interesting question. I'm going to say for record, I hope that he can make those changes, and I hope he has enough wherewithal to understand that that's what he has to do in order to be successful. Because what is the saying? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing twice but expecting a different result. Being that he's now switched trainers, he's no longer with Mark Breeden, from what I understand, and I don't know who else he may or may not have changed. And then just having eyes to see, to go back and to study the tapes of the 1st and 2nd fight to see what he done wrong, or what he should have done, what he could have done, and take advantage of, focusing on things like footwork. Like if you break down that whole fight with Tyson Fury in the 1st and the 2nd, he beat Deontay Wilder on footwork. Footwork is the single most important thing in all of boxing. It doesn't matter how big the rocket is that you're going to fire. If your foot, if your pod isn't in the correct place to be able to fire that rocket, whether it's null and void. But if you can get your feet there in the perfect timing before your opponent, then you can fire first, because they say the one who fires first usually is the one who wins. So when you're talking about guys, these guys are huge, man. It only takes one shot to turn around a whole fight. And with the power that Deontay Wilder has, if you just look at his feet, man, his feet above all things are the things that is the sloppiest at most. He doesn't, in my opinion, he needs to really focus on quick feet versus coming down heel toe. He needs to come down. Coming down. Yeah, heel toe. He needs to come down toe heel when he's placing his feet on the ground. Positioning is everything, man. And so if he can focus on that, whoever is training him, if they can focus on his footwork, I think we can see a better Deontay Wilder, a more revived Deontay Wilder, and a more efficient Deontay Wilder at the end of the day. But again, it's going to come down to his footwork, and that's just my opinion. He's got quick hands. He got a good jab. Everything is pretty much there. But his feet, if you watch his feet, and if you go back and, like, for instance, if you watch the fight with him and Tyson Fury, and as the great late Emmanuel Stewart showed me, turn the volume down. Watch the fight without the volume, and then you will clearly see all the flaws that a fighter has going on in any fight. And he's helped me to really perfect that understanding about how to study fights properly. And so, again, watch that Deontay Wilder fight, and then you'll see what I'm talking about when I'm talking about his feet not being in position, at the time it needs to be effective.
Lemon, we haven't seen an undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis. Now, we're 1 fight away from crowning an undisputed champion. It's a fight that everybody wants to see. It's being dubbed as probably the biggest fight heavyweight boxing might be. When it does happen, when Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua do eventually fight each other, what prediction would you give for that fight?
Well, my prediction at this point would be to lean toward Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury, he understands how to use his fear. See, everybody think fear is bad, but fear is actually good. You got good fear and you got bad fear. Bad fear is a type of fear that makes you hesitant about what it is that you're going to do. Good fear is a type of fear that makes you say, I got to be first. So I believe that in this particular fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, I believe Tyson Fury is going to use his fear, which is, listen, I can't get caught by this guy. I don't want to be close to this guy. I'm going to stick and move. I'm going to stick and move, frustrate him with the jab and set him up to walk him into something. Anthony Joshua is a tremendous fighter. I think he's a great fighter. I have a lot of respect for him as well. But right now, I'm just saying, right at this moment, it's showing that Tyson Fury would be the better of the two because Tyson Fury, if you look at the two fighters, Anthony Joshua likes to get close where he can use his brute strength. He's not really a boxer, but he's smart enough to know when to box. Now he fought an overweight, out of shape Andy Ruiz, and he because Andy Ruiz had that extra weight on him, he couldn't maneuver and cut off the ring, nor did he try. It was like he just was in there for a paycheck. But when you get a guy like Tyson Fury, who understands that standing in front of Anthony Joshua is not going to get me this victory. My victory is going to come at the end of my jab and me using my feet, me using my jerky style, keeping him away, keeping him guessing, keeping him turning, keeping him thinking. That to me is the key to beating Anthony Joshua because he's so strong and he punches hard. You don't want to stand in front of him. He's destroyed everybody who's ever tried to stand in front of him when he was throwing the massive uppercuts and whatnot that he throw. So in my opinion, I would say Tyson Fury, and I say fear, because if Tyson Fury has in his mind, if I stand in front of this guy, he's going to destroy me, and use the fear of moving and then find your way within moving using that stick. I think that it could possibly be I definitely see it going decision, but I see Tyson Fury getting the edge because if you look at when Anthony Joshua fought Vladimir, he has trouble with boxers, and so anybody who boxes Anthony Joshua, I think that's their best chance of beating him. But standing in front of him, he's too strong for that. He punches hard. You don't want to stand in front of a guy that big punching that hard.
You mentioned Vladimir Klitschko. We both know Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua beat Vladimir Klitschko. It was wins that really, set them forward in their career. But another man that also beat Vladimir Klitschko was yourself. In 2004, you become the heavyweight champion of the world by knocking out Vladimir Klitschko. Did you always believe that you were capable of doing that to Vladimir?
Yes, I did. I always believed that I was capable of doing that. But the thing that I knew that nobody else knew was that Vladimir has what you call panic attacks if you put pressure on him. If you put pressure on Vladimir, because he's Vladimir, the Dr. Iron Fist or whatever you call him, Steel Fist, I don't know what you call it, but the point is, if you pressure him enough, he won't run. He'll try to blow you out of the water. He will shoot his entire wad because he believes that he punches hard enough to knock anybody out, which any champion should. But he doesn't have good stamina. So I knew with a guy like Vladimir Klitschko, listen, I'm only 6'1". I knew that I have probably even better boxing skills. I would definitely say that. But you can't, no matter how good of a boxer you are at 6'1", you cannot box anybody who's 6'7", who's just as skilled. So I knew that I was going to have to change up my style of fighting against him because there's no way I was going to be able to box a guy 6'7". Maybe when I was younger in my career, when I was like 214, 220, maybe then I could have boxed him. But to try to box a guy that tall, it would have been stupid in my opinion. So my decision was to pressure him because pressure busts pipes, and I knew that if I could get him to shoot his wad. Like I never went into that fight trying to win the round because you can't win the round against a guy who's that busy, who's that accurate. You know, he's just a great fighter. He really is. But I knew that the one flaw that he has is that he has panic attacks. And I know the law of nature, pressure busts pipes. And I know that if I can put enough pressure on him, he would shoot his wad out. And that's what he did. I made him throw punches when he didn't want to throw. I made him hold when he didn't want to hold. And I made him fight every second of the round. If you notice in the fight when we fought, I was just running to him because I could not allow him to sit back and get comfortable and relax. So I had to make it the ugliest fight possible where it came down to who wanted it the most, not who's in the best shape, not who's my trainer, not I won a gold medal, not I knocked out so-and-so. But at the end of the day, it had to come down to who wanted it the most, who heart was the biggest. And I told him before the fight, I said, you're going to have to kill me to win this fight because that was where I was going. I never planned on winning any round. So when I hear people say, oh, he was beating you every round, well, that was the whole point. The point was to make him throw as many punches as possible so them big muscles can get tired. And truth be told, I didn't plan on turning it on until after the sixth round. But when I saw him tired in the fifth round, the way he was breathing and he couldn't really react to the shots that I had started throwing, I said, well, this may be my window of opportunity. I'm getting tired. I know he's tired. Let me turn it up. Let me shift gears. And I did, man, and it worked.
I mean, I've got to ask you, honestly, and need to obviously try and remain professional as much as all times. But what was it like knocking out Vladimir Klitschko? Because I believe only 4 people have managed to do it. What was it like being one of those guys that was able to put down the great Vladimir Klitschko?
You know something? That's a good question. Nobody ever asked me that. You know that? You're the first person to ever ask me what did it feel like to knock out Vladimir Klitschko.
Some people had Vladimir. Sorry for disturbing you, there, Lamont, but some people had Vladimir as cocky, arrogant, boring. I personally had. I think it's only fair that everyone in the boxing world has respect for what he achieved. But because of the person that people made out that he is, what was it like for you to actually knock Vladimir Klitschko out?
Well, it felt good to me, and I'm gonna tell you why, man. Because if you look at boxing before the Klitschkos entered into the boxing era, they never allowed fighters to hold. But when the Klitschkos came on the scene, every referee around the entire world always allowed those guys to hold and put their weight on people, man. And that just makes a fight unfair because when a guy like myself, who, like I said, I'm 6 inches shorter than Vladimir Klitschko. My whole goal is for a guy my height is to be able to box, to get close to him, to be able to let my hands go and make him fight me, in a short range. His goal is to try to keep me out using his jab, right? So when I work hard to get close to him to be able to use my boxing skills to fight in close, he would grab and he would hold, and the referee would never ever warn him for anybody that he fought with all that holding, man. And so it really hurt the sport and gave the sport a black eye. And in America, I know that because of their domination of the heavyweight division, a lot of fighters didn't really want to fight the Klitschkos because it's like, what chance do we have on winning against a guy who that he's going to hit you from the outside, which is where he's good at. But when you get close to him where you're good at, he's going to grab and hold you. And the referee isn't going to do his job. He's not going to make it a fair fight. So that's not cool. And so for me to be able to beat this guy as strong as he was, because when I got close to him and he would grab me, it would be like a bear trap locking on you. You couldn't get away from the dude, and then he would just lay on you, wearing your legs down until the referee stopped the fight. So in this instance, man, it was very unfair that he did that for so many years before and after me, and nobody ever said anything. They never warned Vladimir about holding, and if they would have done that, I doubt very seriously that Vladimir would have had his title for so long, because he held so many people that he fought, man. And like I said, his advantage is to use his reach. But when you get close to him, when he's supposed to fight you or try to get away from you, all he had to do was put his arms around you and lay on you, wear you down, and keep doing that until the referee would say break, and not get a warning, not get a point taken off, and then he would win. And that's how he beat so many people. The system helped him, man.
You came up at a time in your career where the heavyweight division was probably the most competitive it has ever been. I mean, you look at that era, Mike Tyson, Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis. You know, you fought great fighters, but the four names I just mentioned to you, why was it that these fights were unable to be made, especially with you being a world champion as well, and with some of the names you fought and for the career that you had? Why were you not able to secure fights with the likes of Tyson, Bowe, Holyfield, and Lennox Lewis?
Well, I can answer that. Okay, so as you know, those guys, they came out of the was it the 88 and 84 era of the Olympics. I came out of the 96 Olympic era. So when I was coming in, they were right at the end of their career, and Riddick Bowe had already retired. Lennox Lewis, he wanted to when he had the opportunity, he took the fight with Vitaly Klitschko, and then with Tyson, Larry Merchant asked him after one of his fights when he was making his tour, when he was making that comeback to pay his taxes or whatnot. They asked him, "Did you want to fight Lamon Brewster?" He said, "I'm not ready," and so he said, "I need some more tune-ups." At that point, he went and fought Danny Williams, and he got stopped, and that was the end of his career. Evander Holyfield, it was a fight that I didn't want because I had always looked up to Evander. I looked up to all of those guys, to be honest, and I'm glad, me personally, I guess I can say I'm glad I didn't fight those guys, because I looked up to those guys. They are the ones that gave me the strength and the courage to get up and run. I lived in the ghetto, man. I lived where crack was like everybody was like in some form or fashion, everybody in my community suffered because of the crack epidemic. That, you know, now with the opioid, it's something. Now it's like when it was crack, we were all criminals, but now as opioids, it's like help them, you know, but they wouldn't help my community. They didn't help the black people. You know what I mean? It's like they were criminals, put them in prison. I had to get up every morning and I had to run. I had to run down roads, down just all around my city, man. I had to avoid the crack dealers. I had to avoid the gangbangers. I had to avoid the junkies. I mean, like it was really something growing up for me, man. And just to overcome all that, I use all of the videos that I watched of these guys over the years to inspire me. And so for me to make it to that top, it was like, fight your hero. It's like, well, how do you fight a dude that you always looked up to, where it wasn't just about what they done in the ring, it was what they said that I kept in my head about the discipline of running, the discipline of not hanging out with my friends, the discipline of not eating this, the discipline of just all the things it takes to be a world champion. And now you telling me to fight the very people that helped me to become the champion. Because my father wasn't a boxer per se. He boxed as a kid, but I took it to a whole nother level. So I just felt like, man, at this point in my life, in my career, it doesn't make sense to fight these guys because they were of an older era, so to speak. So beating these dudes really wouldn't have meant nothing to me. It would have meant something to the fans maybe, but not to me, because I took it too personal, man.
Over the last week or so, there's been a lot of talks about Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson coming back into boxing. And there's obviously been talks about a possible third fight between Holyfield and Mike Tyson. Where do you stand on Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield making a comeback into boxing?
I'm sorry. You know what, man? First of all, I'm going to say anything is possible. Uh, we we're in a we're the division today is wide open, man. Why? Because the fighters today are not cut from the same cloth that the older generation of fighters are today. Social media means a lot. How many followers they have, just all the things that are really material about boxing is what motivates these fighters today, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but those fighters fought from a different mentality, a different standpoint, and I believe that with the experience that they have, they really could do a lot of good for boxing, because I believe that between Mike and Evander, they're gonna beat 95% of all the heavyweight division, man. Because these dudes, the Bible says the blind cannot lead the blind unless they both fall in the ditch. And I would just tell you, 95% of these fighters out here are led by trainers who really they don't know what it is to be a heavyweight. Like you cannot train a heavyweight like a smaller fighter, and you don't train a smaller fighter like a heavyweight. So the Georgie Bentons and Bill Slaytons and Angelo Dundees, the great trainers of the day, man. They're not here to really lead these young, massive heavyweights that are bigger than the heavyweights of the 90s and the early millennium. These guys are just naturally athletic. They got raw skill, but they don't come from the standpoint of the time when a fighter walked into the gym and said, I want to be a world champion. These guys are being recruited off of basketball courts, weight gyms, football fields, soccer fields. And it's just a big difference, man, because a good athlete can achieve any goal. But a good athlete can't be great because it has to be born inside of you. Like a pit bull is great because it's just in him, it's in it to be a pit bull. But you can't take a Doberman Pinscher or a German Shepherd and make it fight like a pit bull. And that's what you have with these fighters today. A lot of them on the outside, they look like a pit bull. But when that bell rings and they get hit and they get tired and they get cut and they losing, then that's when the German Shepherd comes out in them.
Lamon, I believe you're 47 years old now.
I'll be 47 June 5th.
How about you? Would you ever fancy one more sort of last hurrah, one more comeback into boxing? Have you ever considered it?
You know what, man? I've considered it every day since January of 2010, when my eye was sliced open in a fight where the fighter cheated, and so I lost my vision in my left eye. So that ended my career, And so yeah, I definitely would, but because I can't, don't mean I don't have an opinion.
Well, I respect that opinion. But Lamon, listen, it's been an absolute honor and a privilege finally being able to speak to you and to speak to a former heavyweight champion of the world who's got such a high opinion on what is a very exciting division right now, the heavyweight division. And I just want to take this time to thank you for giving us the opportunity, and thank you for coming on here and talking to Lights Out. We hope that it's the first of many, and maybe hopefully one day we'll be in America and we can grab a face-to-face interview with you. We can sit down with you and you can talk to us about some of your your famous boxing stories, about some of the things you've seen in boxing. That'd be really nice. But yeah, Lamon, thank you very much for your time. Massive honor and a privilege again speaking to you, and we look forward to speaking to you again sometime.
Hey, thank you, my brother. It's always a pleasure, man. And I'm going to be coming to you with something that I'm working on really soon with Al Bernstein, and people like yourself. I need your help, man. And it's something that encompasses all full contact fighting sports around the world, man.
Then
So I'm gonna.
you have us on Instagram. You have our email address. Whatever we can do to help, please feel free to just drop us a message. We're always here to help. And like I said, hopefully we'll grab another interview very very soon, and we'll be talking some more heavyweight boxing.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it, big dog.
Lamon Brewster, honor and a privilege. Thank you very much for talking to Lights Out.
Pleasure's mine.